Hi, hello, Wiffle Nation, and welcome to another exciting WSEM Christmas Podcast 2.
Wait a second, Carl. This is the Huntington Wiffle League podcast, you milk douche.
Okay, let's do it your way.
Fine, we will.
Let's go.
All right. Okay, welcome to the 4th episode of the Huntington Wiffle League podcast, December episode, December 21st. The only thing really to discuss league-wise is if you go to our website for join, we do still have a PayPal access to prepay for the 2014 season. Other than that, nothing new to discuss. All right, with me is my co-host Greg Sowards and our producer / co-host Jeremy Litton. Also with our two special guests from Wiffle in Southeast Michigan, Carl and Nick Coffey.
That's right, ego stroke me.
Hey guys, it's Nick again.
Yeah, from Florida. He's here.
I traveled a long way to get here.
This is awkward. We spent $3,000 for this podcast. We both work Monday. We both have to fly home to Detroit.
I gotta drive back to Florida. I gotta drive back to Florida tomorrow.
So when Josh said, hey, Carl, Nick, we want you as our guest host. We're like, all right, we'll be here. We get here, and he's like, as soon as we enter the door, he's like, we could have called you. Well, whatever, we're here now, in person.
Okay, with a special guest from Wiffle in Southeast Michigan, Carl Coffey and Nick Coffey. Okay, let's get started with the questions, guys. Guys, what spawned the idea of the Downriver Wiffle League?
First of all, I was under the understanding that it was supposed to be called 2 Coffees, 1 Cup.
Yes.
Who thought of that?
That was me. I can't let that at work.
You can't see this on the podcast, but we're shaking hands with Josh. Let me step in here. Josh, I got into wiffle ball in 2004, and I entered in all these online databases. Brian Wheeler sent me an email about the London Wiffle Ball Tournament. Had a blast. So that was in July. So the rest of that summer, every weekend, we played wiffle ball. So we're like, all right, next summer, 2005, we're starting a league. You know, our Eagles got high. We're going to start a league. We're going to do it. 2005 comes around. We realize that's not easy. So the league turned into 2 tournaments. But that was good enough. So 2005 Downriver Wiffle Ball League turned into a Memorial Day tournament and a Flag Day tournament. 2 of the underdog holidays of the year. Nick, you remember those?
I do, and if you ask Carl what's his favorite holiday, I'm just going to say, Carl, what's your favorite holiday?
Flag Day.
And so we had to do some sort of...
Because it rhymes with Fag Day.
And Carl loves fags. So we had to have some sort of tournament that just would commemorate the flags, I'm quoting, for wiffle ball. And we went to a middle school in Brownstown, which is close to Woodhaven, which is in Downriver. And we made up 2 fields. Actually, at that time, it was 1 field. It was called the Dangerfield, which is later to be the Dangerfield award winner.
Let me interrupt. The middle school was under construction, so we stole equipment under construction to build the field. The Memorial Day tournament was 1 field, Flag Day 2 fields. The rest is history. Next question.
I don't think that was a question, but okay.
What tournaments have you two been to other than London and the NWLA?
Oh, great question. You know what, Greg? Or Craig, can I call you that?
No.
All right, we went to the New Carlisle tournament in 2005, the inaugural one, which was from Kobe Keck. Does that even sound familiar? Yes, it should. ORWBL, the Orable League, in New Carlisle. We played in the first tournament. The whole tournament was townies, except for us. They said, oh, who are these assholes who drove 3 hours to get here? Well, we finished 3rd place. So we made ourselves a point. Remember that, Nick?
The thing about that tournament was there was no foul pole, which was weird because I would just pull the shit out of that ball. And I actually hit it, let me see, left field foul and the second field over, and it was still counted as a home run. Even it was like 50 feet away, but it was over the fence, quote unquote, and it was still counted as a home run. That was like, I think their first tournament. It was a piece of shit.
Craig, can I call you Greg? There's other tournaments we went to. I also in 2009 went to Wiffle Fest. Have you heard of it? It's in Illinois near Chicago. It's at the same time as the NWA tournament now, so we don't go as much. So I said, all right, I got to go in this tournament. Pretty cool. Medium pitch, base running. There's one thing I didn't like about it, Craig. Greg? Josh? You know what? You had to self-ump yourselves. I didn't like that. There's another tournament we're going to talk about. The late, great Jerry Griggs from the Chillicothe tournament league. I played in his slow pitch tournament, much like London in 09. I think that's it. Next question.
So DWL folds, Carl, and you go to college, right?
I was in college, yeah,
And then you return.
in 09.
Why is that? Why start another league?
You know what, Jeremy or Jeremy? What can I call you?
Jeremy.
All right,
Jeremy.
So in 05, I went home for an internship. I move away for a couple years. I come back in 2009. And I said, Brandon Corbett, the guy who runs the league with me
He's
now,
an asshole.
I said, all right, let's bring back wiffle ball to this area. Detroit doesn't have wiffle ball. These fucking West Siders and Kalamazoo have this league that's apparently awesome.
Brian Myers.
But guess what? There's more people on the east side. So let's do it our way. So for 2009, 2010, we just host tournaments to build a fan base. I said, Brandon, we're not going to start a league until we can start a league. Do you know what that means? We're not going to start a league until we have enough people to start an 8-team league. That's the number I wanted. So in 2009, we had 2 tournaments. 2010, we had 2 tournaments. We finally get enough people in Southeast Michigan. We rebrand ourselves as Wiffle in Southeast Michigan, and we go bingo, bango, bango. Let's do this. Next question.
Okay, so you announced in the early fall this year, after the season ended, that you would be stepping down as commissioner at the end of the 2014 season. So the beginning of 2015.
News to me.
Yeah.
What? Just kidding. Go on.
Okay, so that's happening. Brandon is going to be taking your place.
Corbett?
Yeah, Brandon Corbett.
The Reign of Terror?
Yes. Has he made any
Well, let me
insinuation
tell-
on what his plans are?
Josh, let me tell you this. He already started a web page.
A web pie?
reignofterror.com, which pretty much illustrates everything Corbett's going to do in 2015. You're not even going to use bats. The wiffle ball will be imaginary. You're going to win based on trash talk, you know? It's just a bunch of rock, paper, scissors tournaments to determine the score. Josh, do you know why I'm stepping down? I'm burned out. I am. Call me Truck 2.0. I'm pulling a truck. I don't want to be a part of this game for too long. Brandon's going to do a fine job. He pretty much co-commissions anyways under the scene. He deserves more credit than me. He deserves to be commissioner for at least 1 year. Nick, do you have anything to say about
Yeah,
that?
I do actually. I was going to chime in for a second. Truck actually did step down after 6 years.
No.
Shut up.
About 6 years.
And, I know it was 6 years, and then he took a two-year hiatus, and then he came back. So, do you think you're going to do the 2 hiatus and come back?
I could, you know. After Corbett runs the league for a year, maybe some other asshole runs it, I'll be like, all right, give it back to me. I'll show you how it's done.
So, if that's in the plans, why don't you just keep it?
Are we on the same page here?
No, I'm
Next
not.
question.
Okay, what do you plan on doing while you've stepped down?
Just play? Finally get to enjoy wiffle ball as a player. Josh, how great would it be to just play? You know. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I would, if I knew someone was competent enough to run the league.
I interviewed-
without my help.
I interviewed Pat, and he said for 2 years he got to just play, and he loved it. I interviewed Brian Myers, and he said in 2012 he just played and he loved it. Can I just play wiffle ball? When I go to these tournaments and I just get to enjoy it, it's awesome. So I think I've built WSCM enough where someone else can take over the reign and I can just play. I can just show up to the games and play. I don't have to run the rules. I don't have to run the winter meetings. And I can just enjoy what I made. That's why they call me Jesus Jr.
No one calls it that.
Well, let's start it now.
All right, Jesus.
All right.
Okay, do you
Jr.
plan on, with any free time you would get from not being commissioner, do you plan on putting any more effort on the organizing committee for the NCAA tournament?
I will probably be a consultant, and in the NCAA tournament, I will. If Galloway wants me, I will. I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to actually step down to be the junior guy for the NCAA tournament. He was actually, not a lot of people know this, but he was actually the founder of the NCAA tournament. He just, spoke with Galloway to be...
I don't like that title. I had no resources to start that tournament.
Oh, no.
He was the idea around it.
I emailed
No one
Galloway
knows that,
and
but
said,
he was.
let's do a tournament in Ohio. And he said, okay. I don't want any credit.
He was the idea around it.
All right, thank you. Whatever. Next question.
Okay.
Why does each team have their own field?
Nick?
Why wouldn't they? Look at any sport and anything. Every home team has...
Come on, Craig.
That's not always true. The Oakland Raiders share their field.
Yeah,
with
but they
the
have their own
Oakland
field.
A's.
That's a different sport. Think about. I'm talking about any sport. Come
Johnson,
on, Craig. Get your shit together.
Listen here, I'm gonna step in here for a second. Horrible. I make fun of a lot. All right, their league acronym rhymes with horrible. However, they were the first league to do this. Each team having their own field. All right, if you look at our map, and you can go on our webpage, press teams, and see where each team is located. We're all over Southeast Michigan. Michigan is like a hand. You can break it up into segments. Yes, we're all in Southeast Michigan. We got teams near Toledo. That's in Ohio. We got a team in Detroit on an island called Belle Isle. We got teams northern Oakland County. That's way over Detroit. Listen here, Craig, Josh, Jeremy. Listen here, Jax. Why do we have our own fields? Well, Nick's going to finish this answer for me.
Why wouldn't we?
Exactly. You know what? To play in the same field for all your games, how boring is that? You ever heard of something called home field advantage? I played for King Friday last year. Our right center field was 65 feet away.
68 field.
So if we're going to practice, we're like, all right, team, let's go oppo to right center at 68
I
feet.
pulled that shit 68 field, right field all the time.
It's awesome. Seriously, HWL.
Make your own field.
Think about it. Next question.
So Jesus Jr.
That's awesome. Handshake. You can't see this. We're doing it.
All right. Jesus Jr. What are your favorite leagues to follow?
Can I actually be the first one to chime in?
Who's talking? Greg? Craig?
Oh,
Oh, Nick? Nick Coffey?
Well, Jeremy asked a question.
Nick Sr.?
I asked-
Okay.
And Nick Sr. NLCS wanted to chime in before you. Jesus Jr.
Yeah, that's right.
Alright?
Go on.
Crazy asshole.
You fucking douche. Go.
No one likes you. No one. Not one person. Anyway.
Greg does.
Well,
Okay,
kinda.
here you go.
2 leagues. KWL. Brian Myers is a saint.
No. Go on.
Second team. Tampa Bay.
All right, first off, let me step in. First off, Nick only likes Brian Myers because he's from Michigan. Brian Myers is old news. What is this, 2009? If it was 2009, I'd be like, yeah, Nick, Brian Myers is great. He's old news. He said, all right, I've accomplished everything in the wiffle world. And I'm happy. I don't blame him. I know what he's talking about. I get burnt out too. Brian Myers does nothing anymore. Have you seen his webpage? Hasn't been updated since August of 2009. Come on, Nick. Second, Tampa Bay, really? Okay, they're really good athletes. But not one person in Tampa Bay has any knowledge of webpage updating. They don't know what they're doing.
Okay, so should I call you Skibby because you only do anything about webpage analysis?
I'm going to give my two. One, McQuan. It's pronounced McQuan.
That is bullshit. Grade A bullshit.
McQuan
Alright?
is the most underrated league in the country. And they're doing awesome. My second league
You are basing your shit off of web pages,
my
alright?
second favorite league to follow is the Huntington Wiffle Ball League. And I'm not just saying that because guys are here. Have you ever heard of this phrase? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. Nick, Huntington does everything WSCM has done.
You stole your shit off of Connecticut and other leagues around the country.
You know what you're talking about. Those are my two leagues. Next question.
Those are all the questions.
we have.
We'll be right back after a short break. Okay, we talked extensively about yellow bats, why go to yellow bats or why not go to yellow bats in the last podcast. With us, of course, Carl and Nick Coffey. Wiffle in Southeast Michigan was originally a yellow bat league. Recently, you guys went to the Louisville Slugger C271 bat and the Eastern Pro Sticks 3000, same bat we used for the 2013 season. So, if you could enlighten me why you originally were a yellow bat league and why you decided to make the change, and if you could maybe try to influence us one way or another once and for all. Should we go yellow bat in 2014 or should we stick with the black bat that we're using presently?
Josh, I originally thought, well, it's not wiffle ball if you don't have the wiffle ball and the yellow wiffle ball bat. But then our league became pitcher dominant. And from 45 feet with a yellow bat, you're pretty much swinging with a toothpick. So for our third season in 2013, we said, okay, we're doing two things. We're moving the pitcher's mound back 3 feet, and we're going to go to the black bats. We're not going to go extreme like the Fast Plastic or the Golden Stick or Palisades. We're not going to go with these big blue-barreled bats like some sort of crazy baboon maniacs. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to use these black bats because it's a happy medium.
If I could actually just chime in, I was actually against moving to the black bats from day one because I thought, okay, we're moving the pitcher's mound back 3 feet. Why don't you just move the pitcher's mound back 3 feet and use the yellow bats? Just try for 1 year, because I think our batting average was about 220 in the league, which is low, and I understand that because everyone wants the high batting average. Everyone wants a 300, 400 batting average. Who wants the 150, the 180 batting average?
Let me jump in.
What?
Craig, Jeremy, Josh, what do we play wiffle ball for? To compare ourselves to the major leaguers, right? The average major league batting average is around 280. In 2011, we used the yellow bats. We hit around 275. Happy, happy, happy. 2012, our average goes on 222. Is that fun? Do you play wiffle ball to hit 222? Anybody? That's about 1 in 5. No. So something had to change, right?
Yes.
Nick, how do you even say we should use yellows in 2013?
Okay, did you even try to move the mound back 3 feet and then use the yellow bats?
Well, here's some numbers for you. In 2013, moving 3 feet back with the black bats, we hit 285. Right about at major league level. Josh, how do you like that?
It's pretty impressive, but we're on the other end of the spectrum, and like our average is probably like 600. So
You know what,
it's
Josh?
kind of embarrassing on a national level.
Josh, I'm looking at your stats right now. Brent Thompson, 818. Kevin Lawrence, 743. James Clegg, 7. How is this wiffle ball? How is this fun?
Who's at the bottom? What's the average at the bottom? I'm just curious.
Eric Shambline,
Chamberlain, yes.
250. Okay, who cares? So your worst average is 250. Our worst average is .000.
I think that was Martha or the mayor.
You know what, Josh, Greg, Jeremy,
Nick.
how do you guys play with such inflated bat numbers? I want to hear your opinion.
Why do we play with such? Why do we enjoy having high batting
Are
averages
you guys
like
a
that?
hitter league or what?
We started out as a hitters league because basically when we first started our league last year, we basically took the core group from our old league, the Garrett Drive Wiffle Ball League, and we were just trying to keep the interest alive. Most people enjoy very active offense. No one likes to just completely get dominated from the mound, at first anyway. And then we figured, hey, we'll grow enough and then we'll get people that are actually athletically seasoned and they'll want to up the ante a little bit, which I think, personally, we have finally reached that. It's quite possible we've done that. So maybe we could finally drop back down to the yellow bat and see what happens.
So what are you guys thinking for 2014? I saw you have a poll. How is that leaning towards?
So far, 65 or 70% are pro yellow bat.
This is why, okay, as an outsider, these are some reasons why I think the Huntington Football League should go yellow. 1, you guys' averages are way too high. It needs to at least get down to like 500 for an average. You guys, I've seen your pitching. It's not exactly dominant. It's actually where I wish my pitching was, because I truly believe wiffle ball should be about hitting. Second, you guys do play in the NWA tournament, and you have some athletes. I've seen it. And I saw what we did going to the NWA tournament as a black bat league. We struggled. You guys struggled last year too. So why not play with the yellow bats? That's another reason.
If I can actually just chime in real quick, I'm actually against the WSEM for using the black bats, and I know about the average batting. You have to get the average up. But wiffle ball is about the wiffle ball and the yellow bat.
All right, Nick, I'm going to give some names for you. Austin Bischoff.
Okay.
Craig Skinner.
Great.
Try hitting those guys with a yellow bat. And Josh, I mean, you guys have some good pitchers, but can you really look me in the eye and tell me there is nobody I can hit with a yellow bat? I don't think there is. And how far do you pitch from, by the way?
45 feet. Oh, it's 48 feet from the zone, 45 feet from the plate.
I don't know. If you guys don't go to yellow bat next year, I'll be disappointed.
I definitely want to go to yellow bat because we had these high batting averages and everyone had these expectations. Some people did that we would do okay, but we did not. So those high inflated batting numbers made us look all the more worse compared to other leagues because we did not nearly perform even average compared to the 13 leagues there. We probably hit the worst.
I want to ask Jeremy, you played for the Welfare Warriors.
Yeah.
How would you feel about playing with the Yellows next year?
Severely outmatched. But it didn't really matter one way or the other whenever I used yellow or black.
Let me give you another question for you. How would you feel about pitchers going 3 feet further yellow bats? How's that for a happy medium?
I would absolutely hate that.
It would be
I mean,
impossible
for
to
me.
get the ball there.
You think so?
It's very
Yeah.
windy where we play.
Okay, fair enough.
We're close to a river.
All right, Jeremy, you've seen some of these hitters with the black bats.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think a yellow bat will help?
I think the yellow bat will even that out some because I've seen hitters that they just knock it out of the park into the softball fields with incredible ease.
I watched
So,
a video. Let's ask Greg Swords. Beaver Fever. Where are you at in this point?
I'm with the yellow batters. We gotta up our game nationally. Get taken serious. Last year we were a joke at the National Wiffle Ball League tournament. I was sadly the best player.
Nick?
That is very sad.
I know people don't form a league and they don't have players to be in the NWLA. However, you are in the NWLA, so you want some players that compete.
Mm-hmm.
What do you use in the NWLA? What kind of bats?
Yeah, but we don't play
No, no,
wiffle
no.
ball to
What
play
ki-
it, ultimately to play in this tournament.
But what
It's a
kind of
side
bat?
event.
What kind of bats do you use in the NWLA?
Yellow.
Then why don't you use the NWLA? Why isn't it a recommend to be in the NWLA tournament?
They also throw from 48 feet. They're not doing that.
What do we throw from the WSM?
We do same thing, 48 feet.
Boom. Why don't we use the yellow bats then?
Because
What
of
does the
our
HWL
average-
use? What does the HWL use?
I'm going to say one more thing. I'm going to give it to Josh. We aim for MLB averages. That's what we compare ourselves to.
But we aren't major league.
It doesn't
baseball.
matter. We want numbers close to MLB. That's what. We don't want these crazy slow pitch softball numbers like the HWL have. Someone in the league had an 818 average. So every like what, 4 out of 5 times he's getting a hit? How was that fun, Josh? How was that fun?
It was
It's
fun,
fun for
him.
the batter.
Our best
It was a lot of fun for him.
Our best hitter last year hit like what, 350? And that's fine. That's a good, just like MLB, that would be a great average. 818 is stupid. No offense. It's just stupid numbers. If HWL doesn't go to yellow next year, I'm going to be disappointed. They have to do something, whether it's going 3 feet farther in pitching or going to yellow. They have to.
I think they have to go to yellow.
They do.
And they got to go to 48 feet.
Well, we do 48 feet from the zone already, but 48 feet from the plate, that's like 52 feet.
No, 48 from the zone, yeah, exactly.
48 from the zone, yellow bats. I think that is the NWLA standard, and I think
That's
that
what
should
we
be
do
the
so far,
requirements.
except that we don't do yellow bat. We do 48.
I think that should be the requirements for the NWLA.
I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to there's various reasons why we've all decided to at least open up the it wasn't even a conversation in the first 2 seasons about whether or not to use the yellow bat or the black bats, but really 2013 was like our real first season. The 2012 was kind of pathetic. I mean, it didn't really count. We had like a dozen players spread out too thin on 5 teams.
I won all the awards.
Yeah, Greg won all the awards. I mean, it's just, it was basically just GWL extended. But where a lot of the people that we have and have been playing that aren't very athletic have become more athletic, and a lot of the new people we've gotten enter the league from the kickball league are incredibly athletic, we are actually at a point to where I think they can handle the handicap with the yellow bat.
I mean, you look at Maroon Squad, I got their stats in front of them. As a team, they hit 625. They're still going to be in the 300-400 range.
Oh, they're incredibly
athletes.
athletic. They'll be fine, yeah.
And the thing about the yellow bats that no one wants to ever talk about is there is no soft spot on the bat.
That's what I smoke.
You know, every time you hit it with the yellow bat, you're going to hit. You know what I'm talking about? The whole bat's hard. With the black bats, there's some soft spots on it. So if you make good contact with the yellow bats, you're still going to get a hit. You can still hit a ball 120 feet with the yellow bat.
Yeah, and I've looked at other leagues. I added up all the stats and averages and home run counts of yellow bat leagues versus leagues that use other than the yellow bat. Leagues with the yellow bats hit more home runs on average than they hit.
Yeah.
Some leagues they hit like 125 home runs in
Yeah,
like a
ask
short
Brian
season.
Jennings and Brian Myers how shitty the yellow bat is.
Yeah.
And you
Yep.
know what? You put a gun to my head, I wish we can go yellow bat.
How many
I
guns?
I wish I could. It's just, if the pitching gets too good, you got to make a change.
How many yellow bat leagues have a mile per hour zone though that you have to be lob pitch or?
There's a lot of good leagues that use yellow bats. OCWA, KWL, HRL with a medium pitch. You know,
Yeah, but our pitching hasn't reached that level yet. And
Yeah.
I think going down the yellow bat until our pitching reaches, and may never reach a level that WSEM or even OCBA
So before we
has, we could go to
Before we
black
move
bats.
on to the next segment, Josh, this is a WSCM thing I do. I put a gun to your head.
How many guns?
When do you make a decision about the yellow bat?
Winter meeting. We're having captain vote right then and there. But I've got the literature out now, and I'm still trying to convince people to choose a side. It doesn't have to be
So
the
you're
side
not
I
going to
think
make
about.
you're not going to make a commission
There's a
decision?
poll on the website. There won't be a definitive decision announced until the winter meeting.
Is it a majority rule?
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's 51%, it's 51%.
Boom.
And the only compromise we're willing to do is first half of the season, black bat, second half of the season, yellow bat. That's the only compromise.
Another thing I might want to add is the Easton bat is $15.99. A yellow bat is $1.99.
Two and a half weeks to 3 weeks ago on the NWA website, Sam Skibby updated the website rankings he has for the top 10 of leagues throughout the NWA.
Yeah, and Skibby's an asshole. Josh, we have our own rankings, our way. You, me, with Greg and Nick breaking ties. Josh, go first.
Okay, number 1, I have Wiffle in Southeast Michigan. 2, Old Republic Wiffle Ball League. 3, I have the Hormone League Twin Cities. 4, I have the Potomac Wiffle Ball League. 5, I have McQuan.
It's pronounced McQuan.
Fine. 6, I have my own league, Huntington Wiffle League. 7, I have Hessfield Wiffle Ball. 8, National Wiffle Ball League. 9, the Ontario County Wiffle Association. And 10, SRL.
And here's mine. 1, yes, WSEM. 2, Potomac. 3, HRL. 4, Orable. 5, NWBL. 6, Huntington. 7th, Hess. 8th, McQuan. 9th, OCWA. And 10th, Kalamazoo. Josh, I used my calculator and we averaged what we had together compared to Skivvy. There were some ties. We had our two slapdick co-hosts, Nick and Craig.
I was actually told we were the tiebreakers, not the slapdicks.
So I'm going to say Skivvy's rankings. You're going to say our rankings, okay?
Okay.
At let's go 10. Let's make it dramatic, okay? At 10, Sam Skiddy had the Huntington Wiffle League 10th, and we had Nick. Who do we have at 10?
Well, it was the tie between the SRL and the KWL, and I actually had the honor of taking the tiebreaker, and I'm going to go with Kalamazoo Wiffle Ball League.
All right, you hear that, Skibby? We have Kalamazoo at 10th. 9th, he has himself at 9th. Josh, there is no tiebreakers here. We had the OCWA at 9th.
Yes, Ontario County. Yes.
Which is respectable. At 8th, Skibby had the OCWA. We had Hessfield. No drama there. 7th, he had Hessfield. We had the NWBL, thanks to a tiebreaker from Greg Sowards. At 6, we had the NWBL. They had McQuan. So, Josh, Skibby did not even have McQuan in the top 10. But where did we have him? At 6. Can you...
Hang on. There's no way to... Who did that? What the fuck?
Keep it going. Josh,
Yes.
why is McQuan 6 in our rankings, but Skibby doesn't have him?
I don't know. I think the design, which Skibby seems to look at for the most part, is there. But they don't really have a lot of articles or anything like that. But they're starting a podcast, which is something else. And they also are very active on social media. So for those reasons, that's why I think they deserve to be in the top 10.
Perfect. Number 5. Skibby had HRL. We had the Huntington.
What?
So Skibby had Huntington at 10. We had him at 5.
It's a pleasure to be in the top 5.
Thank you very much. Skibby had WSDM at 4, which is a slap in the face to all of us, obviously.
At least you're in the top 5.
We had HRL thanks to a tiebreaker from Greg. Greg, what was the last time you've seen the HRL website?
About 23 minutes ago.
Thank
We
you.
looked at it before.
At 3. This is the most ridiculous ranking I've ever seen. in my 31 years of existence. I've already punched 3 holes in the walls at Josh and Elizabeth's house here because of this ranking.
Landlord's gonna kill us.
They have Kalamazoo Wiffle Ball League at number 3. The last time they updated a webpage was what decade, Josh?
This past August.
We were both in high school.
Yes.
We put Potomac at 3. Let's go to number 2. Sam had Orable. So do we. We agree on something. Hallelujah! 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 Okay. Number 1. Sam had Potomac. That's okay. Okay, their stat database is number 1. Do they have any fun articles? It's all business. It's like Major League Baseball. There's no fun articles. Chris Galloway, have some fun. It's wiffle ball. Realize what you're doing. We had WFCM. We both did. Me because I'm the commissioner of the league, and you because you idolize my league.
It's true. It could be a little biased.
So I'm going to break down Skibby's top 10, and then they're going to talk about theirs. This is Skibby's top 10. Number 1, Potomac. Number 2, Orable. 3, Kalamazoo. 4, WFCM. 5, HRL. 6, National Football League. 7, Hess. 8, OCWA. 9th, Skibby. And 10th, HWL.
And ours for the final, Wiffle in Southeast Michigan 1. Old Republic is 2. PWL is 3. Home Run League is 4. Huntington Wiffle League is 5. McQuan,
It's pronounced McQuan.
thank you, is number 6. National Wiffle League is 7. Hessfield is 8. Ontario County Wiffle Association is number 9. And Kalamazoo Wiffle Ball League squeaks in at number 10.
You know, we're going to bring Greg and Nick in this conversation, and we're going to cry out to John Wiffle 100, and we're going to ask them,
But before we get into that, we've got some comments made in a little grouping we have on Facebook from both of you guys that we'd like to confront you with.
Been talking to
right
Ed
now.
Snowden? What's happened?
wait a minute, Greg, that was in private. I started a Facebook group just to prepare ourselves for this.
Actually, first of all, Carl, shut your fucking mouth.
You know,
Because we have Chris Hansen here, alright? And he actually did some little investigation, and he's on our team, alright?
I'll check myself into this sex
Alright,
predator
you
website.
shut your mouth and you sit in the corner, alright? You shut your fucking mouth and you sit in the corner.
Go on.
Alright. I have a conversation between Carl Coffey and Josh Smith.
Yeah, because you two assholes.
Alright, you shut up!
I'll go.
On Facebook. Carl's wondering. Carl Coffey said, December 5th, 2013. Please, Nick and Greg, please break these ties between Skibby's tie rankings of these websites.
Wait, what kind of tone was that?
You shut up,
I'll go on.
Josh said. How is this site higher than ours? Carl said, did Skibby put ours in the top 10? Josh said, I don't know. Carl said, don't even bother. KWLA shouldn't even be in the top 10. I have some love for them. They were once a great powerhouse. Josh Smith said, well, they are too many leagues out there like McQuan
It's pronounced McQuan.
who deserve to be in the list. KWL, that's Kalamazoo, Brian Myers. Updates. So little that I hardly visit. Skibby's site is pretty bare. Not saying our site is the bomb, just saying it's more detailed than SWBL.
Why don't you shut your mouth, Ed Snowden?
Alright, I got a little couple. Come on, shut up.
Finish off.
Seeing how little the KWL site worries me, I know Brian Myers in the KWL, is sort of blunt out there. I hope the KWL Kalamazoo isn't in jeopardy.
Carl says that we both have your site in a fair spot, talking about the HWL and the WSEM. He needs some help like I have with Corbett. I hope Skibby knows I love him because I will be pretty over the top. Ha ha.
Shut up. Shut up, Chris Hansen.
I have one more thing. A private message between Carl Coffey and me, Nick Coffey, sent to me at 10:53 a.m. on December 5th, 2013.
That's
And I quote, KWL at 3 is a joke. Their last update was in August. And by the way, it is December 21st. They get their ranking out of nostalgia. End quote. Back to you, Carl and Josh.
What the shit was that?
I was investigative journalism. That's what
Are
I
we
was.
sex predators now?
I think the NSA is on us now.
All right, well, let's finish off this segment. I guess these two assholes teamed up against us for some reason.
Fuckers.
Josh, the website rankings. Are you a college football fan? And it's okay if you say no.
A college football fan?
Football.
College football fan? Yes, I am.
How could you imagine if one person ranked these?
It would take longer than a week.
Okay, Josh, this is what I want. We both met John Converse this year. It's not that hard probably to get a council of 4 to 5 people to get these rankings, right?
Right.
All right, Skippy does a good job, and he ranks past number 10, past number 20. He ranks all the way at the end. Josh, do you have any opinion on these rankings? How should it be done? Because for me, I want maybe 4 to 5 people. I want them ranked 3 to 4 times a year, because websites change. Where are you at this? Because I know you have an opinion.
Yes. Well, I've made a scorecard for myself, and I ranked 20 leagues, top 20 leagues for their websites. And Wiffle 2K, a league from Chico,
I remember that.
Chico, California, they ranked 65 leagues on their
Don
website.
River was on that, 37.
Yeah, and they ripped
I
our
like
league to
it.
pieces. Yeah, but they were. It wasn't a constructive criticism, but it was the reality check that a lot of leagues needed. Just because you have a website address on Angel Fire, that wasn't enough. So I look for, and I think Skeevy looks for this too. You look for the aesthetic. You want a nice looking website, but I try to look more towards content. That's why Wiffle in Southeast Michigan for me is easily number one, because Brandon, you, Nick, occasionally David Burr or somebody is posting articles. Every month, even in the off season, there's going to be at least 5 articles, no matter how small or how big. KWL doesn't do that, so just because you have the wow factor when you go and visit of the appearance doesn't mean you're automatically in the running. So there's the aesthetic, there's the dependability of updates, there is how many fingers they have in pie, so to speak, for social media, photos, videos, podcasting, any of that, and overall content. What is the quality of their articles? What is the quantity of their articles? So I had a system ranked 0 to 4, 4 being excellent, 0 being non-existent, and that's what I based my rankings off of, for the most part.
Fair enough. You know what? Have you even brought these to John's attention?
No,
Maybe we should.
maybe we should. We
Would
just
you-
came up with this like a week ago, though.
Because I know I'd be willing to join this council. Would you?
Yes,
It's all right. There's
and even
three-
have Skeevy on it.
There's
I'm
3
not going to
people.
boot Skeevy. He does have seasoned abilities in ranking sites.
There you go. You know, I'm not going to go to bed upset seeing my ranking at number 4, and you're not going to go to upset being ranked number 10.
You're wrong.
But it'd be nice to have just more than one person ranking these websites. I'm sorry. At least that's my opinion.
Well, they make it easier. That's a burden. I mean, John does 50. He does 50 teams for the large league division and 25 teams for, or is it 20?
25.
25 teams. So he ranks 75 teams nationally every week for 20 weeks. You know, and that's a lot of work. You know, so maybe if the council works out for
It'd be
website
fun.
rankings, this is something we could experiment with
It'd
the
be
actual
fun.
rankings.
It'd be fun to have a 4 or 5 man committee ranking these websites. It'd be a fun, like, male activity to go on these conference calls 3 or 4 times a year. That's me.
I think it'd be nice to have some kind of criteria to live up to.
And he already talked about that, Craig.
I was
And-
saying,
Well, I based that. It's not an original idea. I based that criteria almost verbatim off of the criteria that Wiffle 2K developed.
I actually think it should be a 4 to 5 person.
Well, I think it should be an
committee.
odd number for tie. That way, there's no tiebreak.
I think it should be a 5-person committee to break the tie then.
Bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. Batmobile lost its wheel, the Joker got away. Hey, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, kid.
So the NCAA tournament is something that's brought us all together since 2012 in the flesh. So let's talk about it. All of us, minus Elizabeth, of course, have been to both NCAA tournaments. We could maybe talk about the most recent one, things we liked about each one, how they differed, just talk about it. So, we've all been to both tournaments. Reminisce about your favorite stories and moments from 2012 versus 2013.
I'll go first. Josh, going to Columbus, seeing those flags in that first tournament, it all became real to me. Oh, okay, this is actually happening. And I was like, okay, let's just play these games against these people from around the country under the lights. That's when it was happening for me. What about you, Greg?
That is the gayest shit I've ever heard. What the heck? What are you? What are you writing for the New York Times? That's so gay. It is wiffle ball, alright?
Why don't you calm down?
Alright.
This is a man's
I don't
game.
care who you were playing with. You can play in Pontiac. You can play in Downriver.
What did you like then?
We're in West Virginia. I'll
but-
play out in the backyard right now.
What did you like about NWA 2012?
Playing the wiffle ball and getting wasted drunk.
Terrible. Craig.
I liked all the competitive spirit, the friendship made.
This is. I signed up for the show. I spent $2,000.
No.
To get a flight to Michigan and fly to West
You're on
Virginia.
vacation. I don't want to hear it.
You are
Josh,
right. You are right. I
Can
didn't spend
someone
a
with
dime.
some decent insight chime in?
Yes, well, I was updating the Whifflers Digest webpage and had the magazine going frequently, and really going. And this was like the first time we had a real on-location opportunity. We went to the London Wiffle Ball Tournament the year before, met you guys, some people from Kalamazoo, but it was a day. This was like the first time I was really going out there with all my cameras, all my equipment, notepad and everything, and I had weeks worth of material. We could have done the next magazine purely on that tournament, and for the most part we did, but it was the first time I realized that it was bigger than me just talking about videos that people would post on the internet. It was something that was happening in the flesh, on the backyard recreational level, not just Golden Stick or Fast Plastic.
What you realize is that Wiffle Digest not only just they cover leagues, but they cover personalities.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of material to study personality-wise with all the leagues.
Josh, you're on the organizing committee in 2012. I was on it for both years, and 2014 is expected to be pretty big.
Yep.
So big that we're expecting to turn teams down. Every team that played last year, including Regis Pollard's League, Washburn. So those 13 teams have first choice. After that, those 3 open spots are first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Do you expect, and Nick and Greg can chime in, do you expect 2014 to have 16 teams?
I hope so. I mean, we could maybe talk about for a moment like teams we would like to fill those 3 spots. I mean, I would like Wiffle Atlanta
Hess
to be one of them, Hessfield being one of them.
and WBL.
Maybe NWBL, but I would maybe want teams that maybe have been more experienced in tournaments. North Carolina Wiffle League, which
Orrible.
nobody knows anything
Right,
about.
Orrible.
They actually no North Carolina.
I know, but Orrible. too.
Orrible would be good, but North Carolina they have had some. They mainly play tournaments down there, but also I'd like a West Coast team. It'd be nice to see Columbia Cowlitz or possibly Crofton, but
That's
they'd have to
tough.
get passports and all that. I mean, it would be
It'd be tough.
unrealistic.
What about how many teams is too many?
Well, we already established. I've established with Galloway 16 is the limit. So
Unless something happens, it
won't
would be
change.
impossible to.
I'm 100. I already talked to you. It won't change. 16 is the max. Greg, you played both. You watched in 2012. You played in 2013. What year was more fun for you?
2013. I love to play wiffle ball. Watching was fun, but playing is what it's about. You don't go to watch wiffle ball. You go to play.
We went to the next level in 2013, Josh. We can break it down for 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Friday night, we had the welcome dinner, where we drew the teams. We had the home run derby and the All-Star game. Is anything out of Friday night stick out to you? Like, that was just too awesome.
I think the home run derby and the All-Star game. I mean, the welcome dinner happened anyway. I mean, last year, convenience-wise, from having the hotel literally across the street from where we were playing, and with the welcome tent and porta potties and all that, was just crazy convenient. But the welcome dinner was nice, and then they had like the national anthem, and then we had the All-Star game and the home run derby. I thought it was great, and it blew me away. But I finally reached a point to where I was like, that may have been too much, because that was time we could have had pool play, and Sundays can go on very long.
Nick, I'm going to go to you. You've been to both tournaments. How would you feel about, and this has been talked about, drawing the teams before the tournament to establish rivalries, to have predictions for the podcast for different pods? Say there's 16 teams. We're breaking up the 4 pods. So in the podcast, we can predict who's going to win each of the 4 pods. Is that a good idea, or do you like how we draw at the tournament?
I actually wish that you picked the teams about maybe 1 or 2 weeks before the tournament. You could build up a rivalry before the tournament. I mean, obviously everyone in the NWA knows each other. They know their personalities. If you pick the teams about I want to say 2 weeks before the tournament, I don't know, people can build up a rivalry before the tournament, and they can build up a rivalry. So.
What about you, Josh? What do you feel about that?
I think it would maybe give people more of a sense of urgency of
So
preparing for the tournament.
You'd be in favor?
I'd be in favor.
Because I feel that's going to go to a captain's vote.
Yeah.
All right, another thing, the tournament structure. I'm going to go to you, Greg. It was a round robin on Saturday, with Saturday night going to double elim, and then Sunday double elim. Do you feel like that's the right way to have the tournament?
Absolutely. You can't you're not going all the way to Columbus to play one game, so it's got to be double elimination. You got to have round robin to decide where everybody places. So.
And something we did in 2013, Josh, was the Dangerfield tournament. And this is how it worked. If any teams did not win a single game during the double elim, they played in this losers tournament, Dangerfield. And it's going to come back to 2014. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I thought that was one. There's very subtle differences between 2013 and 2012. The Dangerfield tournament was a nice thing that was changing for the 2013 tournament instead of 2012. So I think that's a positive aspect that they should keep. That's some sort of consolation prize or some sort of saving face for teams that lost out without winning a single game in the tournament. So it gives, like I said, like Greg said, these people are driving or flying in some cases from pretty far away. They got to come and play more than 2 games outside of round robin.
All right. As a person on the organizing committee for 2 years, we've always had 6 guys on the roster. And I know you only brought 4 last year. A lot of teams only brought 4. But I talked to Galloway after the end of the tournament, and the main thing was expanding the rosters. I'm going to go around the table, starting at Nick, then Greg, then you. Nick.
Coffee.
Would you go to 7 or 8 in 2014?
I would go to 8. That's ridiculous to go to 7. It's stupid. Let's go to 8. And if you want to go crazy, let's go to 16.
All right, another question. It's still going to be a 6 on 6, right? Just 8 on the roster, but still 6, at bat, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's no doubt about it.
Greg, you only brought 4 last year.
Yes, it sucks.
But would you be in favor of expanding the rosters to include more people?
Yes, it would open you up for your pitching roster. Guys could rest between games that they were going to pitch so that they don't necessarily have to be out there wearing themselves out in other ways. You can bring guys that are just specifically there to pitch and not even hit.
Something that's not used a lot was the DH rule. You can have a pitcher, not a good hitter, you can DH him. It's totally legal. Josh, how about you?
I think 8 would be the way to go. Not so much just about pitching rotation rules or anything like that, which most leagues don't have pitching rotation rules. We noticed that. Greg actually pitched probably 75% of the time for us, however we could fit him in there. So I think 8, just not only for the pitching rotation, but there's only a couple of those leagues that play in tournaments regularly. Stamina is a big issue, and if you're wanting each team at their best, playing another team at their best, you're going to want to be able to put fresh guys in there. You can only have 3 fielders and a pitcher, so that's half of your roster resting at any given moment.
You mean 2 fielders and a pitcher?
Oh, yes, that's correct. Yeah, 2
Also,
fielders and a
I
pitcher.
want to mention injuries is another
Injuries,
part that factors in. If you have the 2 extra players, somebody gets hurt, you're not hurting too bad.
Yeah, we had 3 out of our 4 players were hurt or getting hurt. Your arm was jello. Something happened to my shoulder. I couldn't pitch, and then Clag had strained his groin.
A lot of these leagues have players pools in 3 digits. So, at least for my league, I know it's tough to limit it down to 6 people. I have to turn a lot of people down. So to have 8 people, maybe bring people as a lefty specialist or a relief pitcher, just to include more people in this experience. To me, it would be a good thing. One more thing, and NWA related. Let's see. Something that Brian Myers talked about was changing the pitcher rules to a 3-man rotation. For example, like last year, you pitch more than 2 innings, you have to sit out 1 game. Changing it, if you pitch more than 2 innings, you have to sit out the next 2 games. So pretty much, you can't rely on a Ryan Bush, Brett Bigler rotation over and over.
Right.
How do you feel about that, Josh?
I think the more people that's necessary for a rotation, the better, because you're going to face a variety. And it's not going to put all that pressure. I mean, tournaments can destroy people's arms. I think Brett mentioned that on one of your podcasts that you guys interviewed him in. Tournaments have the possibility and capability of hurting pitchers significantly, and it would encourage, through the rules and stipulations, for people not to put themselves at risk for hurting themselves, and to have a variety of talent to be pitching and represented.
I actually have a rule that should be associated with the next NWA tournament. The first base umpire usually is behind the base on first base. He should be closer to judge the first pitch on the pitcher in the NWA tournament. He's very too far away. He can't judge any. I just got a note to say, shut the fuck up.
Nick, that's actually good advice.
No, you shut the fuck up.
No, the umpires were a little slacking last year. Greg, you played. How do you feel about the umpires?
I feel you can't really blame them because they're in there doing a game completely different from what they're actually used to.
And a lot of them weren't the same ones from last year. Some of them
Right.
were, but where the tournament grew, I'd say probably half of them were brand new, and they were still trying to get used to it. So, I mean, they did pretty good for the first year. And a lot of us aren't used to having umpires at all, so it's definitely an improvement over what the rest of us do.
Yeah.
We don't have umpires at all.
Actually, the umpires that were in the NWA tournament last year were in NWA tournaments umpires for the year before, so they knew what to expect, but they still didn't judge the first pitch, strikeouts, the first pitch, pitches, anything like that. They just lollygagged around the first pitch, followed by a line, and just lollygagged around the first pitch and the right field pitchers.
I thought a lot of the umpires, even returning umpires, still didn't take it serious. They're like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
this is wiffle ball. Where I can take it serious, it's just a paycheck. But that's me. I don't know.
I still think it's a luxury that I'll never be able to experience on a league level.
It is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it adds a lot more legitimacy, and for every time that there may have been something people could say were negative, there were like 100 positive things that happened.
Josh Smith, you were in the Wiffle Digest 2 years ago. You didn't see it 2 years ago. With the right field judges, they weren't serious as they were last year.
No. But still, I still think it's better than not having one at all. And instead of having people that are also playing on teams that are not playing at the time make the judgment, you better have third parties. Okay, so is that all we could discuss about that particular thing? Okay, so that wraps up the NWA discussion we can have about the tournaments and looking forward to next year. Whatever it is, I'm sure Chris will come up with something good. So in closing, our next podcast will be interviewing the captain of the Honey Badgers in a Will He, Won't He episode. Josh Burletich, is he going to come back for the 2014 season, or will he retire? I don't know if that's even a thing. He can't MJ out. He's got to come back.
Ooh.
Especially with the way his team performed in fall ball. So, we'll be talking to Josh Burletich in January. February, we're talking to Randy Steele and James Clegg of Maroon Squad. March, there's a possibility we're going to be talking to Aaron Torchio and somebody else from the Cincinnati Wiffle Ball Club. Okay? So, signing off, I'm Josh Smith with my co-host
Greg Sauer.
and our special guests
Carl Coffee.
and
Nikki C.
of Wiffle in Southeast Michigan. Thank you for listening. And have a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Festivus. And for all you pagans out there, slay those virgins.
See ya. See ya.
We'll talk to you soon.